Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to take a look at the upcoming Battle Pass tank. You all know that all the tanks that are coming into Battle Pass are tanks that are kind of made of already existing tanks. So I'm going to take one example. The latest tank implemented, the Ranger, is a tank based on the T21, which was once upon a time before the 5.5 update, a tier 6 tank that led you after to the T57 Heavy. And it's pretty much the same with every tank. You have the Blitz 9000, which is a copy of the Hellcat. You have the Magnus, which is a literal M6 that you can see right there, etc. But at one point, Wargaming is kind of running low on ideas, which is logical because at one point you made copy-paste of pretty much every single tier 6 tank. So they have to do something else, create their own tank. They already started with the Titan T150 with the Titan T2457, and now we have the pleasure of introducing to you the Rover. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to introduce you to the Rover, a tier 6 light tank collectible from the Hybrid Nation. And yes, it looks extremely cool, but also totally unrelated to any historical figures of tanks or whatever that we saw previously into the Battle Pass. Now, if we focus only on the aesthetic of the tank, it truly seems to have a deadly gun. Just take a look at that, with all those crystals that are literally acting as a charging mechanism or something, with that big gun mantlet with the 4 axes right there. Now, it definitely looks cool, but it also looks unachieved. When you take a look overall at the turret, it just looks like a prototype of something bigger. So maybe if we extrapolate, we can expect Wargaming to get us something a little bit juicier than that, maybe in the future, tier 8, maybe, who knows, from the Hybrid Nation. I'm down for it, Wargaming. But when you take a look at the statistics, you are not necessarily going to be disappointed, but you're gonna understand that it's just another tier 6 light tank that doesn't have a lot to add to the current game. The only real cool factor is, or are, the 9 degrees of gun depression, which is gonna make this tank quite a versatile one. But I'm kind of afraid of one thing. The turret is pretty big on this tank, and it's a light tank, which means that you don't have any armor at all. So if we do have 9 degrees of gun depression with something that has a really high turret, is it going to be counterproductive? We're going to have to wait for the tank to be implemented to know. For the rest, and specifically the top speed, you're talking about the light tank, so obviously you're going to go fast, 64 kilometers per hour when you're totally launched with an average speed of 39. Trust me, you don't care about average speed, specifically with the light tanks. And for the rest, hull and turret turn rate, those have pretty good values, even if I'm kind of worried about the hull turn rate. 46 degrees per second will do the job, but is it enough for you to turn around when you come across around the corner and come across the whole enemy team? I don't think so. But this tank becomes interesting when we're talking about the firepower, because your DPM is 1700, so your reload time is 5.66 seconds without anything equipped. If you use the provisions plus the right equipments, I think that you can increase that DPM by maybe 100 points or something like this, which would make it a deadly light tank actually for tier 6, because most of them have like 1.6k, so having 200 more DPM than others could be a great advantage, specifically when you're facing them 1 versus 1. For the average penetration, it's kind of average, unfortunately. 140 is quite low for your regular shell, and 180 with your gold shell is not that much, but we're talking about a tier 6, so you can't expect anything else. But in order for us to know if yes or no the Rover is a tank you want to get, let's take a look at a Battle Pass tank that was really praised by pretty much everyone because of how good it was. And that tank is the one you see right there, the Agent. When we take a look at it, this tank has more armor than the Rover, the exact same gun depression, and just a little bit less DPM because you have 1.6 here. But for the rest and all the statistics, you have a better top speed, you have a way better average speed, and in definitive, you get yourself, if you already have the Agent, a tank that is, compared to the Rover, more armored, with more flexibility and faster. So is the rover going to be competitive over the agent? I don't think so. In order for us to understand what awaits us in the upcoming battle pass, the August one, let's take a look at the rover in battle, or I should say the agent, but both tanks are sharing pretty equal statistics, beside the fact that this one is a little bit faster. So what you need to understand is that you're facing or you're playing with a light tank. A light tank means that you do want to use your mobility and you want absolutely to avoid any direct contact with your opponents, which is exactly what I didn't do at the beginning of the game. So with the rover and with the agent as well, what you want to do at first is spotting your opponents. This is why I went straight to the middle from a position from which I have the possibility of spotting pretty much everyone and allowing my teammates to adapt their gameplay correctly to what is happening in battle. Now, of course, it comes to a price, that price being that sometimes you are going to take 1 or 2 shells like it was the case here. Now, for the rest, once you've spotted everyone, you need to find little weak spots in the enemy's defenses. How do you do that? By analyzing your map. You want to focus absolutely as much as possible on finding lonely opponents and specifically tank destroyers that are left behind and left alone. Because obviously, and specifically when they are turretless TDs, you have the possibility of circling them. Here, I'm not circling necessarily the Su-85E, but you see that it was quite easy for me to destroy the whole tank. I took a bunch of shots in the process, which is something I'm gonna pay after, but yeah, nobody's perfect. For the rest, I'm not expecting the rover to be better than the agent, because the abilities on which the rover is stronger than the agent are not statistics that are taken into consideration when you want to play a light tank or something that is similar to the light gameplay. And in multiple points, your main ally when you do not have any armor, is your mobility. With the agent, if you do have this mobility, you're not necessarily going to get it with the rover. And even if it's the case, why should you bother playing a tank that will easily get penetrated, unlike an agent that is already artificially angled, or no, not naturally angled in order to artificially increase your armor? There's no point. There's no point. You just need to play the agent again and again and again to get a taste of a rover, but the upgraded version. Now, of course, battle pass are not meant only for the tank it gives you. It's also a great way for you and a great opportunity to get yourself juicy discounts on your grind, on the payment of your tanks, on credit boosters, on boosters in general, etc. Yeah, I understand that. But there is and there will always be a hype around the tank because it's a new tank. And it's my duty to tell you if this tank is worth it or not. And in the case, I do not think that it will be worth it. I'm gonna give Wargaming the benefit of the doubt because they can still modify it until the end of August. But well, I do not think that it's going to be the case. And in the end, and I don't know why I pressed the wrong button, but I guess that this is the kind of things that happen when you have big hands. In definitive, on this game, I kind of failed because I took too much time killing the Firefly. If I went before on the spawn to be able to do what I had to do, we would have won this, but hey, you can't win them all. So basically, the rover, the agent, similar tank agent is a better one, and this is what you need to remember from this video. The rest is pretty much aesthetic around the main point. So tell me in the comments, what do you think about the rover? Aesthetically talking, it's dope. Statistically talking, it's not. And I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. And my apologies if I'm a little bit confused. I still have a headache from too much alcohol I drank yesterday. Hopefully you enjoyed. If that's the case, you know what to do. And I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.